Day two of Africa Energy Week. I'm delighted to be joined by the team from the African Energy Chamber. If we're going to start with yourself, Zainu, if you can tell us a little bit about what's been happening over the last few days and the size of the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm Zainu Deen, Karim, Director of Finance, Petroleum Director in Sierra Leone. We're happy to be here, and of course the Africa Energy Week has been growing and growing, and this one is really big. We love it, and basically it's a really good one this time around. It's a lot of people, lots of companies, and lots of investments we can see coming in this one.
Perfect. And if we move on to yourself, NJ, this is obviously the flagship conference that's been happening in Africa now. What are the main messages that are coming out of Africa Energy Week?
Thank you for having us. I think the main message that's coming here, out of Africa Energy Week is that exploration is back. Africans are ready to welcome companies to explore Africa. Investors are seeing more opportunities in Africa, and we see that urgency to provide energy. But also there's a social aspect of it. Africans want to have energy for themselves. They are no longer satisfied with energy poverty. They want to see investments that leads to economic progress. And I think we can work on all of that. Investors winning, everyday people winning, and governments having more revenue to build roads, bridges. So it's a unique opportunity for us.
So you have some 600 million people here in poverty in Africa. How have you seen things evolve over the last couple of years?
I think we're at a time where energy poverty was being looked down on, which is not right, because the biggest focus was just on renewables. Right now we are at a time where we are saying we should use all forms of energy to produce the energy we need to grow our continent. And I think that the conversation is changing, and that's why this Energy Week is so important.
Perfect. And what are the kind of key regions across Africa that you're noticing that people are focusing on?
West Africa is big. You're seeing Sierra Leone, you're seeing Liberia, you're seeing Senegal, Mauritania, even Nigeria. But you're also seeing a lot of movement in Southern Africa, Mozambique, Namibia, Angola. We've seen big showcases with massive opportunities. But North Africa is still being a driver, with Algeria, Libya, and Egypt still showcasing massive opportunities, massive gas finds. Africa is going to redefine how we see energy in the future.
And then if we move on to yourself, Foday, we're obviously here representing a lot of UK companies, and thank you so much for helping us and partnering with us for our wider African Energy Summit in Aberdeen. You obviously spent a fair bit of time in the UK and in Aberdeen as well. How important do you see the UK supply chain to the African economy?
Good morning, Foday Mansaray, Director General Petroleum, Director of Sierra Leone. Now, before going into that, I must commend the Chairman of the Chamber for putting on such a brilliant show. This is the 5th edition of African Energy Week, clearly the biggest and the best yet. And, you know, we've been on this journey together with the Chamber for 5 years, and we've seen it grow to become the premier event. Now, to go back to your question, to answer your question, yes, I did spend a fair time in Aberdeen. I am a firm believer that geology has no boundaries. So I was in Aberdeen from 2010 to 2012, so I've seen firsthand the world-class services and service industries that Aberdeen has to offer. So taking Africa to Aberdeen is absolutely a great incentive for the service companies in Aberdeen to see what African countries, governments, and oil and gas sector has to offer. So we would, for a country like Sierra Leone, we will definitely be there to make sure we promote, we attract investment into a sector. You know, as I said before, we're definitely a firm believer. I'm definitely a firm believer of geology has no boundaries. So we would like to attract companies from Aberdeen to make sure they come into Africa and do work. We, as Sierra Leone, we're looking to be one of the next producers of oil and gas, and I think companies in Aberdeen in the UK can be a great resource for us.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And then finally, NJ, moving on to you, what message do you have to the operating community of Africa and also the UK supply chain companies to engage with each other?
You know, picking from what Foday just said, we are bound together. We have to succeed together. With the experience you find in the UK, it can really benefit us here in Africans, but also Africans have to go over there and learn. That's why on the 18th and 19th of November, we all are going to be in Aberdeen. It's going to be very important. It's about opportunities, it's about partnerships that will bring investments into our African continent. It's about looking at people who have done it very well, they got some of the best skills, but also Africans can also partner and do joint ventures and do deals. But then look at this, the small, mid-sized guys in the UK who will be in Aberdeen to look at how do we take new spot new wildcat wells, or maybe come in and pick new oil blocks. You know, you should be asking for this guy, they should be asking this guy for oil blocks and asking them to invest and shoot seismics and do different things. That is that opportunity that is there. So this is about opportunity where both sides are winning. Countries like Sierra Leone are winning. A lot UK investors, but UK service providers are winning. You're getting some of the best skills that you find. They will come right here and we'll be exposed to them. That's why on the 18th and 19th of November, we all are going to be there standing together and bridging an opportunity to really go out there and push investment into Africa, but also bring UK skills and companies into our continent to drive our growth and help us beat energy poverty.
Well said. So thank you so much for spending some time to speak to us this morning. And we look very much forward to welcoming you to Aberdeen for the wider African Energy Summit, where I think that's the perfect marriage of African opportunity with the UK technical skills and history working in such a world-class economic basin. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.